the gumdrops. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. We got a few people on here. That's awesome. Hi, Casey. Hey, Derek, with his Vader box.
Hey.
Hey. Joe, I have to tell you something really cute. He has an invention called the Vader box, like Darth Vader.
Well, it's because
awesome.
it's like an elevator, really, but yeah.
But you know what? We're supposed to be kids anyway, so we need to be inventing all these fun things.
I
Right?
agree. I agree.
You ladies look beautiful.
Oh,
So
you're
cute.
too sweet. You always look stunning. She's got no
And I love
lipstick
seeing
on.
your daughter
No
at
makeup.
school.
Thank you. You too. Oh
They
my
really
goodness.
are good.
We
fit.
sent our girls.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's how this all started for me.
Yes. Yeah.
My baby, my mama bear came out.
Oh, you gotta have the mama bear.
Oh my
We'll all be a
goodness.
bunch of tulips. And we don't want to
Yeah.
grow up tulips. Divine feminine rising this time. Just saying.
Oh my
Oh, I like
goodness.
your cup. Look at my cup.
Yes.
Oh, what's yours? Not guilty. I love it. Hi, Mr. T. We love you. We're thankful for you. All right.
I have the same hat as you, Sharon.
You
I
got
have
your.
the same- I have one of those too. Same one.
Ah, well, when we're in person, we're gonna have to wear them together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have one. Q Army. We gotta be Q Army, right?
Yeah. We'll be triplets.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. Oh, we got Mike on. All right. So what do you think, guys? Do you think we should give it like maybe 2 more minutes till, because I know there was quite a few people that were interested in jumping on, so I don't want to.
Oh yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Jill? I want to respect your time.
Well, I've got time, so if we run over, I just didn't want to be too long on here for everyone else. So whatever, we can
Yeah,
play it by
aw.
ear, and we can have, these another 2.0 meeting if we want to.
And we record, you know what? I'm just going to text my friend Lori real quick. We are on. I don't know if she'll get it, but okay. All right. All right. Well, I say we just start. What do you
Yes.
think? Let's go
Sounds
for
good
it.
to me.
Awesome.
Go for it.
Woo!
I told
All
Derek
right.
to get his notebook ready. Get your notebook.
Yeah, take notes, Derek. I love it. Well, listen, first, I would love to introduce myself. My name is Sharon Kuslaker. I called myself Kuslaker. The inventor, creative concept of the community thinking tank. And I'd like to get into that just really, really quick before I introduce my amazing soul sister friend here to give us some good tips and information. I came up with the idea of the community thinking tank because, as we all know, this world is out of control. And I really do feel like it was a message from God, and it kept drilling in my head. And basically, it's an inventive tool to bring people together quickly, efficiently. And my tagline is follow the signs and create a movement, because as many of us know that we have been shadow banned. I was in Facebook jail last week because of Jill's post I did. Casey backed me up. You didn't hear about that? I'm like, what happened? I can't post anything. And I'm like, ah. So Casey tagged on my line. She's like, if you're looking to get in touch with her. But my point is that we've all been silenced. And, ever since the attempted assassination on President Trump, I think both sides are just saying enough. And we are going to get a pep rally going here in the state of Utah, where every religion is welcome. We, put our politics aside, our religion aside, and simply focus on the people that need help. Because this week I had another 2 friends saying they're going to be homeless. I'm like, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep looking the other way. So I want to encourage you, if you want to get more information about that, check out communitythinkingtank.com, and we have some quick videos there explaining this whole concept and just people coming together and using our minds and thinking, putting 5 hours a month aside, create your own group, get the people together, post the signs in your community so people know where to find you, and you come all together. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to get a pep rally going in a city and state near you, because we all know it's happening. We got to come together. That's why it's called the Come Together Pep Rally. Just saying. All right. But with all that said, I would love, oh, I got to admit someone else in here. I would love to introduce my special guest, Miss Jill Wood. She is an amazing soul sister, and she is going to share a little about the quantum financial system and so forth. And I jotted down some notes, so I would like to formally introduce her, if that's okay. So a little bit about Jill. Jill Wood is a licensed registered investment advisor and the CEO of Freewood Private Wealth, who is able to do business in any state in the USA. Jill's website is freewoodwealth.com. Her email is jill.wood@freewoodwealth.com. And is it okay to give your phone number, Jill?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because, okay. So her phone number is 614-753-6200. Oh, they're all piling in. So a little bit about Jill's background. She has been in the banking and financial institutions since the early 90s. Jill started as a bank teller while attending the Ohio State University, and she worked her way up. I love it, the old school way. She worked her way up the corporate ladder, working for several large institutions, including Merrill Lynch, now owned by Bank of America, Wachovia. Did I pronounce that? I always mess that up.
Yes.
Wachovia, which is now owned by Wells Fargo, as well as JP Morgan and the private bank. Jill witnessed many changes in several mini recessions, causing volatility and market pullbacks. But the collapse of the subprime mortgage industry in 2007 to 2008 was the final awakening to Jill, realizing there was much more sinister scene of corruption perpetuated by the very people making the rules and the regulations against we the people. Jill is helping her clients invest appropriately for what we believe is happening now on a global scale. So Jill, can I ask you, can you please tell us more about your experience and what you know, what made you so knowledgeable in a world that is with so many licensed financial advisors and so-called experts, and they still can't comprehend understanding what is happening? Can you get into a little bit?
Yes, I appreciate you having this and getting everybody together. It is when two or more gather. And and I think the biggest part of this is that we're realizing, and the big thing with RFK Jr. the other night is that we are uniting on all sides. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's not about black or white. It's not all these ways that they've been trying to divide us. So what I saw, like from JP Morgan, the private bank, and like when I worked at Merrill Lynch, when all these things were collapsing in 2007 and 2008, I'm like, a light bulb went off. I'm like, because every 5 to 7 years I was recreating myself and I could not figure out what the deal was, because I'm like looking at the people running everything and I knew it was coming from them. Like they were doing it. And I'm like, why isn't this a bigger deal? Or like, why are you guys, like Bank of America was joining forces with Countrywide, which was a corrupt subprime lender from my background. I mean, I knew a lot of these things that were happening during the subprime mortgage crisis. So I couldn't understand why all of these bankers and CEOs were crisscrossing, going over here and all that. They got the golden parachute and they're walking away with millions and millions of dollars, still a CEO of some big firm, large institution, but they just changed, they flip-flopped where they were. And that was very eye-opening. And so I could see it, but I'm like, how is this going to work moving forward? I mean, we never imagined the amount of corruption that would be happening to the level that it has. And I mean, 2020 was eye-opening, right? I mean, when everything shut down and I knew at that point that the things that were going to be taking off were all of these stocks that were behind these companies creating the vaccines and all of that. But I had a hard time investing in stuff like that because I knew it wasn't going to be good for people. But as time moved on, I was able to understand, because of Negative 48 and how a lot of us have met, where Michael had explained Michael Prossman is the one who was explaining all the things that were happening around the globe. But he had explained what was happening in my world, in the financial world, with the Federal Reserve, the corruption within the Treasury, the central banking system, and how that all tied in together. And it was like a light bulb went off, and I knew that there was way more to it. And that's how I started figuring out the corruption that was happening within our world, and why then, the banks were hoarding silver and gold, but they did not want us as financial advisors investing in it.
Can I tell you
Yeah.
real quick on that? When I wanted to buy physical silver and gold, they were trying to convince me to store, have them stored. I'm like, if you're corrupt, why would I want you to be storing it for me? So like it's stashed away. But I just wanted to interject there because they don't want you to have it.
Because if you have questions, Sharon, everybody else probably does. So like, stop me if there's things that you think need to be addressed, because what they've done, and I feel like this industry has been so convoluted and complex that nobody can make heads or tails of it. You can't understand, like, well, I thought this was going to go up, and like, then you end up finding out the next, couple of days, something's tanking that you just invested in, but they manipulate overnight. They see all the shorts and all the longs, and they're able to do that. And in our world that we're headed into, and this is why, why I told you I'm not a QFS expert, but we all know it's going to be called the quantum financial system. We've been hearing about it for years. We've talked about the stellar and flare network, where everything is changing into a 24/7, 365 global system. And it's where, things can settle like that. And it's going to be on distributed ledger technology that does not have to be run on the internet. So what I've seen recently is that a couple times I've sent out distributions to clients, and they've gone the same day. That's never happened. Like, usually it's an ACH, it's overnight, unless you wire, and then they charge you for the wire, and then they send it,
I
like
know,
4 hours
they
later.
charge you up the wazoo for every little thing. It's ridiculous.
So I think it's working in tandem, though. So I think, what they've been doing is beta testing for years. I mean, this has been something that has been talked about for years. And I don't know if you saw the Kim Clement prophecy as well, that was saying that there's an X and a P in it, which is, I believe, XRP and Ripple. And Ripple is going to be the cross-border payments that allow us to settle instantaneous. It doesn't require use of the internet. And, and that's where I see things going. And then XRP just won their case that they are not going to be deemed a security. So that's going to be
so it separates them from all of that below.
All of the SEC regulation, and then us being able to be outside of this current system that we're all in. But what I see happening, and this is where it's different, as things have moved along, we have seen it's happening differently than what any of us thought. Initially I'm like, Chase is going to go bankrupt, Merrill Lynch is going to be out of business, and I thought all this stuff would happen, but that would not be a smooth transition. The infrastructure is already there. We think about the hospital systems are there. We've got the roads, the highways, we've got the banking systems, we've got the institutions. Why not just take those over? And this is one thing that I've realized that the white hats are ingenious with, is that they can leave a shell of a company and they can take over in a different way. And I think that's what happened with all the gold and the silver, is that they got the value of the gold and the silver, and Trump is in charge of all the gold, and they found over $34 quintillion worth of gold underneath the Vatican that ran 1,500 miles.
I remember all that when things were going down in that fire and
So the gold, from my understanding, is going to obviously back, the monetary system, and, it's going to build wealth. Silver being so manipulated for years, and the sterling being part of obviously the UK's money, that is what they've tried to, keep down and not give it its true value. So silver is a great investment. And what these financial advisors are not doing is buying it in portfolios, because they don't even put it in the managed accounts. Like, managed accounts are when you go into a JP Morgan or you go to a Merrill Lynch, they put you in a bucket of investments and they charge you fees and they set you up in something that's very vanilla, and it's not customized to what's happening in the world today. So where I've been able to separate what I'm doing is I know that world and I know how to invest. So when I formed my own firm, and this was so crazy how it happened, because I could see the writing on the wall in 2015. 2016 is when I started my firm, and moved away from JP Morgan, and was able to take a lot of the clients that I had relationships with to Freewood Private Wealth. But then now what I'm able to do is customize portfolios. So I have access to all the securities. So when the market finally bottoms out, after going up so much, it'll bottom out. It's probably going to go up 300% again. So there's opportunity within those securities once everything gets cleaned out. But right now, everybody's talking about it that knows what's going on. Silver, gold, we can even buy copper, inside the portfolios, which is going to be what runs the infrastructure and a lot of the energy. And what we need is the wiring back in our infrastructure. And they've been able to keep the prices of copper down, and it'll be a cheap way that we're able to produce energy. And the silver and the gold, from my understanding, after talking to, it was Ron Thiessen, who owns Northern Dynasty Minerals. He is the CEO there, and he said that that's going to be the wealth builders, the silver and the gold. And then the other commodities or the precious metals are going to be the things that we build out our infrastructure with. So there's a lot of opportunity with mining. There's a lot of opportunity with silver and gold. And what I'm able to do differently than people who just sell the silver and the gold, and I don't want to take anything away from any other types of investors. It's just that I have access to everything. So I have access to the mining, the silver, the gold, all the different types of precious metals that are really the physical, tangible assets inside the portfolios, and they're liquid. So if somebody has, let's say they have $20,000 that they want to put in gold, but they have something that comes up next month, and like, my water tank went out. I need to take out 5,000. It's very liquid. So what I'm able to do is liquidate and move those assets quickly for clients. Or let's say that, silver had a huge bump up and now we need to sell off some of it and then repurchase it again. I'm able to do that in a way that moves very quickly inside of the portfolios. When you own physical, tangible silver and you own the coins at home, you have to, send them back and then get the value of those if you needed to cash them in. And those companies charge quite a high premium to
Oh
do
my
that.
gosh, don't even
Yeah.
get me going. When I drained
Yeah.
my IRA, I couldn't believe the interest that I'm like, okay, so, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I think a lot of us feel this way where,
Yes.
I mean, I've had friends that have had to go into, their IRAs and investments and so forth, because, I mean, times are tough. And when they chart, I mean, I'm like, okay, so literally you're just transferring in like a little bit of admin fees and so forth, but why do you need to charge that much interest? Like, they are making a killing, literally,
Well, that's
at
another
that off
thing,
of
though,
people's.
that I found with these companies is that a lot of times the gold and silver companies that people have been moved, they've moved their IRAs and they've moved the money out of the IRA. And you want to keep it under your IRA umbrella, transfer it in kind, so you don't have to pay taxes or a penalty if you're under 59 and a half. I mean, there's a lot of rules around that. And people need to be cautious about that, because we're still in the world where supposedly we're supposed to pay all that. I mean, I think that's going to change ultimately. But right now, if you take money out of an IRA, you might as well take out 30% on top of that, because if you're under 59 and a half, you're paying a 10% penalty, and the marginal income tax rate, when you figure it out, it's probably at least 20%. depending on what
Yeah,
tax
that's
bracket
highway
you fall.
robbery though. I mean,
It,
that's like normalizing your credit cards being almost 30% interest rate now.
it's
It's like no one's ever gonna get out of debt, and they know.
No, no.
Boo.
And these 401ks that people are in at work, I mean, I tell people as soon as you change an employer or whatever, move it out. Let's move it into an IRA so you take control over those assets and you have the control over it. If you roll it over to another, IRA or a 401k within your company, you don't get control of it until you actually separate your employment. So,
Mhm.
you want to keep it in something that you've got control over those assets. One of the biggest schemes out there too is that we're putting money into these 401ks. They they control what companies are inside of those 401ks. Obviously,
Oh
if you
my
take the
gosh,
money
yeah.
out early, you get charged penalties and fees and all of that. On top of that, what they're saying and the benefit is that you're putting money in before it's taxed, but then you look at all these other things that we're paying out into, like the Medicare and the Social Security, all those things. I mean, those, from what my understanding is with Nasara, will happen, and that those fees, those charges, everything are going to be coming back to we the people. It's criminal. I mean, because then you go somewhere and as soon as you buy something, you're taxed again. So it
I
just
know. I was explaining to a woman today about that. I'm like, people don't even realize everything that comes through their door is already taxed. And then
yeah.
they want to get you again on everything, but they normalize it, and then people just comply and go, oh, okay, I guess that's just the way things are, without even asking. And that's how
Well, we
everyone is
didn't
just hitting
know
rock
what we
bottom
didn't
now.
know. I think that's
Yeah.
the big eye-opening part of this is that, I mean, I've always been curious and wanted to seek the truth, which I mean, really what this boils down to in our world right now is it's Team Jesus versus Team Lucifer. Our team is huge. God's already won. And
Yeah.
it's the this wealth is truly from the wicked. It's going to return to the righteous. And that's why, like, if people could get in the right position and work with somebody that they can trust, which that's what I prove over time, is that my clients can trust that I'm going to work within their best interest. And if you can get in the right position to understand, investing in the digital currency that's going to change the world, which is going to be XRP, XLM, and XDC are the main currencies. There's other bridge currencies that are going to be part of that whole digital currency exchange, which is outside of this whole system. The central banking system, the Treasury, the Federal Reserve is not going to have any control over that, which that'll all change anyway with the stock market. But what I
Which
see
is
is,
rigged also.
oh yeah, and it'll transition though. But that's why I don't want people to get scammed, because right now
I was
there's a lot of people out there that act like they are QFS experts, and nobody knows that. Nobody
Thank
will
you.
ever know
Thank
any
you
of
for
that
saying that. Because that was
until,
my next question on scammers. Because honestly, you think about it. I don't know if any of you seen the movie. It was called The Beehive, and it's loosely based on this. And
yeah.
the point is someone can just act like they know exactly what they're doing, and they could be posting about this for a year, and they put all that time in just to scam you. So it's better to go with someone that's registered like yourself and others, so they can prove it, because it's just awful to think that there's so many evil people out there. And you would think that our government would protect us from some type of system, but why don't they when that happens?
well,
You
it's a
know?
sting operation. It's gonna happen. I mean, everything's coming back to everyone. I mean, Wizard said it the other night. He was talking about how he's like, oh, I've got, all you people that keep imitating me and you're scamming people. Like, it's all caught. Like, you're already caught. Like, what a terrible thing to do, because you just sold yourself out for what? Like, I mean, even
That's
if
a
it's a
good
couple
point.
$1 million, it's stupid, but they're probably getting a couple $100 from people. I mean, that are
Yeah.
just investing in XRP and XLM, and they're like, oh, here's what you need to do, and they act like they're helping you. And like,
Hmm.
you how many times have you gotten the message, greetings, are you prepared for this, financial change,
Uh,
and like what's coming? It's a scam.
I
just
love
don't.
that you said that though, because honestly, that's what Space Force is all about. And a lot of people don't even realize it, that everyone, we're all being tracked. And we're all being tracked
They
one way.
have it all. When they have said we have it all, they have it all. And
Mhm.
every phone call, every conversation, every message.
Oh, yeah. We were
You're like,
talking about that earlier. Can I say
"Oopsie."
that real quick? Casey,
No.
I think you and I were talking about this recently too. Like, on those shows like the Housewives and stuff, and they're like, I never said that. And then they pull up their video and they're like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen to all the
Yeah.
people that have been such jerks to certain people their whole lives, and then they're gonna be like,
Well, all of us have made, that's what makes us human though. We've all made mistakes, but we're not evil,
yeah, yeah,
and that's the
yeah,
point, is like everything that any of us have ever had that have happened in our lives is called being human. And, and we are God's children, and we do, we have free will, and we've learned from those mistakes, and we grow and we become better. And the ones who are continuing to go down this path, this is why now though we're at the precipice where people have to choose good or evil. It's right in our faces now. It literally couldn't be easier to choose a side. And if you did the least amount of homework right now, it's very easy to choose
I
what
love you
you need to
said
do.
that, because a lot of people, when they just keep listening, but they're like, some doesn't add up and I'm just not sure. And when you encourage them, that it's like,
Well,
it's
even
just
95% of the truthers out there are going to go down because they're trying to make money on telling the truth. It's not supposed to be like that. I mean, it's all about humanity right now. We should be helping one another. We are in the 3D world right now still, where we're, still paying bills and still sending our kids off to school and all of that. But there is going to be, an abundance of wealth. And that's why getting set up right now, being able to invest in the correct mining companies, the silver, the gold, and the correct securities, because there's going to be a market crash as well. And being able to transition through this time is going to set people up with an abundance. And what they're watching right now is, what are you doing to help humanity? What are you doing to help
I'm
humanity?
trying over here. I'm like, let's put 5 hours aside every month. And I think
so. I
that's how
mean,
it's
and
gonna start.
it really is when two or more of us gather, and that's what I think right now, is that when we are able, to come together, start being productive, because I think all of us, like you and I talked today, is like going into hermit mode after we've like been trying to, figure out what's been happening for several years now. But I humble myself, because I think about, what have the Kennedys gone through? What have the Trump family gone through? What have all of the white hats that have been working underground and trying to clean out, the stuff that's been happening with the children? It's all about the children, and I think back, to 2020, the thing that got me so fired up were my babies, my children. I'm like, if the schools are going to come after them, and here I am trying to, like, help my husband understand that, it's just, we've thought two different ways on that, and it's done a number on us, and I see that this has happened to a lot of families, and and I think now is the time that it's you've got to learn what's happening in the world right now, so then we can help one another. And the big part of this is obviously the money, it's the wealth, because we're able to have the resources that we need to be able to help, just like you mentioned your friends, and like the friends that we know that they've been on this mission and they've lost jobs. They have tried to do the right thing, that, they're trying to be a part of something that's changing the world. But at the same token, it's like we're looked at like we're conspiracy theorists for so long from different, big companies. That
it's called having a melon in your head and doing research. Now when people say that, I'm like, oh, I just blow it off. I'm like, really? You believe all that? I'm like, yeah. I just spin it right back in a nicer way, not in like the way that they've talked to me. And I'm sure all of you as well.
Well, and I also hope that people are understanding how to at least set up a wallet and this isn't anything that I do because it's not part of my firm, but like to be able to invest in XRP and XLM and XDC, those are the bridge currencies that are going to be the way that we are able to. I mean, I think about those tokens and those currencies. I mean, they're not called cryptocurrencies for a reason, but I think of it like this highway infrastructure of us being able to send money quickly and settle. And we can do that with smart contracts on distributed ledger technology. And it's going to be, I mean, something that I think is going to work for at least the next 100 years that we'll use that. I think of the ease of using a credit card, but we're paying interest. And if you can't pay it off, you get yourself in a mess and all these other things. And then the bank makes money. And as soon as you use it somewhere, they're like, well, I got to charge an extra 3.5% because the bank's charging me 3.5%.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. It should be like, hey, Sharon, I owe you $50 for dinner the other night, and I send it, and I'm not giving you gold, and you're giving me change for my gold. I'm sending you XLM, which is going ding ding, and it's right in your account. Hey,
so that sounds great to me.
Yeah, that's where I see those things are gonna really change. And behind that, I mean, with the investments, and I think this is why some of these companies and investment companies are coming out with the ETFs that they have, it's a basket of these currencies in there. And it might possibly be that Bitcoin goes up in the meantime, which I know eventually it's going to go bye-bye, but I think there's anything is possible at this point. I don't know if you saw Trump's speech, and I forget which speech it was.
Yeah, because all of a sudden he was back and
with Bitcoin behind him. And everything's think mirror with him. Everything.
I think it was a sting. I think it was a sting operation. I think it was like, okay, did you all really think that the stock was going to blow up so quickly? And it was a Ponzi scheme on the back end when it started.
Well, it's been tied to all the dirty criminal crime.
And that's my point. Is he's like, we got it now.
Well, also I thought this because Jamie Dimon has to be gone by now. So he's the CEO of JP Morgan, and he's always, for years not liked Bitcoin. But they were one of the biggest purchasers of Bitcoin years ago, right? A few years ago. And he recently came out again and said that, he's talking about digital currencies, but not Bitcoin. So I don't think it's, this is what we've always been told, is that Bitcoin is going to go bye-bye, and that it's tied to the CCP, and it's tied to all this dirty child trafficking, drug trafficking, and all the underground, crimes that have been committed. And it was a way that they were able to do it and not be traced and tracked, but they don't realize that they were traced and tracked.
I love it. Payback. That was a good. It's not a Mel Gibson movie, Payback.
Oh, is that what it's called? Payback?
I think so.
Well, there's a lot of truth to these movies.
I know.
And The Matrix.
Well, you think about it this is the way that they pre-programmed our brains, because all of this has been prophesied about. If people literally can break down their Bible, like, it's like the best of times and the worst of times. And like, I want to go to the best of times. I don't want to be stuck in
the Bible is our game book. It's right there. Everything's right there. And that's why they've tried to distract, deflect, keep us busy with everything around us, the NFL, the, games, and,
Olympics,
the reality shows that are not reality.
It's funny you say that. I finally figured out, I'm like, these are really scripted, but they're making it seem like it's just like impromptu. It's just so messed up.
I know. It's just all busy and preoccupied. When you're not busy at work.
What better way? It's the art of war, where literally you can go back to everyone as you slowly keep exposing the truth and go, okay, we literally wrote a show about this to explain it to people. And I don't mean to laugh, but they've been doing this since the TV was invented, so that it's not just us, it's the people, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, every single generation. So I feel that is why they split up trends and things like that, because they've proven to people that when they can sit in a room like that's decorated like their childhood, they're happier and so forth. Do you know what I mean? Like these are all these psychological games. It's just
Yes.
so wackadooey.
Yes.
But so can I ask you a quick question? Is this
Mhm.
kind of the same system that JFK was working on
So, well,
that you
all of the
know of?
banking system, right, is, I mean, it's, if you think about JP Morgan changing their system, it would take years and they would have us beta test, their programs. And if something was changing, it took a while, just for, one bank. So if you think about all 209 countries have capitulated to Donald Trump, from my understanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we're all going on this system. I mean, this was why 9/11 happened. I mean, we were all supposed to be debt free. It was supposed to be the debt jubilee that was happening that day. And then magically Building 7 blows up like a couple hours later, too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all of the papers and all of the documents were in Building 7, from my understanding,
It,
and that's something that was supposed to have happened back then. But now that we reached 0% on our interest rates, and now they've, gone back up. When we reached that, well, they said that was at the point that we were able to switch everything over at when Donald Trump became president. And also the banks hold so much in derivatives. If you look, derivatives are debt. And so they're so upside down. They also bank on fractional banking. So if somebody deposits, $10,000, then they'll lend out 9,000. They only keep 10%. And then let's say they lend out that $9,000 and then somebody else comes in and then they deposit the $9,000, then they lend out 90% of that. So it's ongoing to where that
Mhm.
same $10,000 they can lend over and over again, up to $100,000 when you break it all down. And where's this magically coming from? So the derivatives bubble is like a huge thing that's like poof, 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 if you can imagine. All it needs is a little pinprick. And I don't know if you've been watching the debt clock, but they've showed like a little pinprick that's
Oh,
gonna
oh,
bust
oh,
the
here it
derivatives,
comes. Mm-hmm.
which they don't. So they had Basel 3 and Basel 4 come out, which are regulations, and they have to be whole with the amount of gold and silver and all these things that they claim on their balance sheets. They don't have it. They don't have the assets. So how this is going to happen, but I still think they'll keep the institutions for us to be able to do our financial transactions and meet and all those types of things. But they'll become like financial service centers. It's not going to be this
Yeah.
banking and you go in, you're begging for a loan that we already know is coming out of our trust. So I
Yeah.
think this is where we'll start to see that debts will be forgiven at some point. How they'll do this, from my understanding, is over a 10-year tranche, and that it'll be, over a period of 10 years. Somebody's not going to become uber wealthy overnight because a lot of people wouldn't know how to handle that as well. And I think
Yeah.
they'll do it in a way that's smart, but eventually that money's not going to be what the worry is. It's that we are going to learn, probably they'll probably have it done in a way that maybe is on smart contracts, that we have to do certain things to earn the money and to have
Like
it put over into
humanitarian
our account.
projects and giving back
Yeah.
and creating a whole new system and how to get along with people again and start to get to know thy neighbor again. Because let's
Yeah.
face it, every time we're all walking around, everyone's like this. Half the people don't even know their neighbors anymore when you've moved and so forth. It's just disgusting. And we have to create a whole new system that is simple. And I believe that's where I came up with the concept of the community thinking tank.
Yeah.
All it takes is a few people. Like this isn't rocket science, you know? And what I mean by that is like we've been taught so much to always rely on what they're telling us that we have the tools right in us to be like, okay, you like to cook, okay, let's start freezing some meals and, start making some posts in local communities, social online places, and be like, hey,
Yep.
if you're suffering, things like that, like people that want to extend their garden so that you don't have to buy the poison at your Walmarts and so forth. All it takes is people who love gardening and be like, hey, I'm going to rototill your backyard and we'll take care of everything and we can just start selling it in town and we can just have everything right here and you get to
You're
know
right.
everyone again. And then it's
That's
really
it.
not simple. So like
Like no,
5 hours a month, like with a few hundred people, can you imagine how much you can get done? I mean, we already have in the Facebook group. Sorry, I always say that, but in the photo albums, we have a list of ideas to get people going right out of the gates. And I think it's going to be the new TV because we all
yeah,
know that fake TV is fake on both sides. And who would know the news better than the people? Like people could have fun with this and get on their local community thinking tank. And literally
yeah,
someone can teach you how to grow a certain thing and to cook a certain way. And contractors with great, like that's news to me, not this fake
right.
baloney where they talk about one thing in your whole town and you're like, so what's going on in town? Like, you
Yeah,
know,
right. And
it's
that
just,
that'll get people like dreaming again. I mean, all the things that we
yeah,
imagined that we have wanted to do, and we'll be able to do it.
I
And
can't
there's
wait.
nothing stopping us. Like we all should be doing it now.
I
And
agree.
I
I
believe that
agree.
that's part of the message right now. We're like, why are we waiting? And what are we, and I
I
don't think
agree.
it's waiting. I think,
Yeah.
and when I say they, I'm like, we know that there's a certain amount of people that know how this ends, or or what the mission is exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you cannot tell people what to do. You have to show them,
Yeah.
but I think now it's like people are starting to like say, well, I got to do something. Like, and so we got to create
Yeah.
these new systems. It's our world, and
Yeah.
what they tried to take away from us is
Mm.
attacking what's making us so special. It's our DNA and it's what's inside of us. And those are the things that are going to make us go into this whole new world. And if we start being able to create new systems, and we can do that by, transitioning and being able to make
Yeah.
money with our money, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where I pray that I can help people, is that they can continue to make money while we transition over into this new world, and that it's not such a stressful thing. And I mean, we feel so
Yeah.
much better when we can be productive and do it ourselves anyway.
I so agree. Like I seriously, Elon Musk has to listen. He needs to create a community thinking tank platform in every city and state that it's not a business. So it's not going to be up to one person. You know what I mean? It's a collective, and that's what this is about. So when you take it out as being a business and that there's no competition and you can add other humanitarian projects that are already flourishing, everyone wins. Everyone learns
Yeah,
from each other. And
right.
I think it's going to be beautiful when people really understand the concept of community thinking tanks because we're all behind our phones so much. Like I really, really, I love being around in front of people in person now. Like I crave that because I feel
Yes.
like we've all been so secluded and
Yeah.
doing our homework and like, oh my gosh, it's just so scary out there. And you know what I mean? You're just like, I can't believe this is happening. Well, now I feel like so many people we have enough people that are awakened that literally we can do this and
Yes.
just like everyone has a passion and I just want to encourage people, whatever your passion is, don't overthink the process of a community thinking tank. Takes less than
Mm.
10 minutes to start one. You add your people and that's where the magic happens. It's
Yeah.
and but like so many of us, like I'm really passionate about the rescue animals. You got to find
Mm.
the others so you can start coming up with the ideas. And there are a lot of men that like to build things, and we got Mr. Vader box here, and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's how it's all going to start because we're going to have to start from scratch. We literally, to a degree, we're going to have to start from scratch to get rid of all of our poisonous products,
Hmm.
and so forth. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm hanging on. I believe in the people. In Saturday, October 12th, all over the world, people can come together and de-escalate what's happening in this world. It's literally you find the like-minded people, you have fun and make signs about we're coming together. Put the politics and your corporate religions aside, and let's just come together and just do the right thing and look at all the people suffering. That's it. Get some people that want to bring some veterans. We've got homeless veterans that are going to speak in Utah here. And as soon as people hear that the way that they've been treated, they're going to have a problem. And they're going to be like, why isn't Mr. Cox doing anything about it? And so people are going to say, enough is enough. And we can do this without this big government. And I think that's what people don't recognize is once you don't give them that power anymore, they can't take it from you.
No.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We can create systems outside of the current ones. You know, and we think it's harder than what it is, you know, and I know that it's sometimes easier said than done, you know, but there's certain things, you know, like what you're doing is completely outside of that. You know, and I believe, you know, that's what a lot of the doctors have been able to do is go out and do their own practice and do holistic medicine.
Oh, I'm so
And, you
excited
know,
for
and
that. Yeah.
I know, and that's why like we're healing ourselves, we're learning, and I think that's it. And it's healing and being pure unconditional love and
Yeah.
being able to connect. And then we get energy from other people, and then we can, you know, all come together in so many different ways and help one another. But it's connecting all of God's people, which that's what they tried to separate.
It's
That's
part
why
of
they
it in the
wanted us.
DNA. And they don't even
Yeah.
like a lot of people that still have no idea what's going on. They're like, what are they talking about? And it literally comes down to your Christ DNA and us connecting and reconnecting and putting labels aside. Because when you think of all the labels, how we're all labeled and we just say things, but we're so programmed to say it and we're like, ooh, that doesn't sound good. And like we got to change that stuff, you know?
Well, it's really it's God's children, or you know, what side are you picking? It's not, it's it's character. It's being having integrity and
Yeah.
people coming together that really want that to prevail and forgiving yourself for anything. Like I think
Yeah.
we're hard on ourselves. And like the ones who are truly good-hearted, good souls, like we have given ourselves a really hard time, you know, on like things that we
I
feel
agree.
like we made mistakes on, and all of that. All of us have. Or,
Yeah.
you know, and when we've gone through things and gotten, you know, like, you know, this happened at this company or whatever, you know, and like I lost my job here, I did, you know, and it's that doesn't define who we are. And we've allowed
Exactly.
it to because we've been controlled in a world that that's what's valued. And we should not.
Materialistic things instead of a person. I mean,
I know.
did you see that video I posted in Community Thinking Tank like in the last week? It was like a little experiment where this guy they were recording from afar and this guy like literally picked up a kid and snatched him right in front of them. And
Yes.
I was like literally almost every person looked the other way because they're like, until that one girl, I'm like, that would have been me. I'd have been running down that alley with the freaking axe. You know, if I had an axe, but you know what I mean.
Oh my God. Yes.
But that's kind of like a good comparison of what you're saying is just it's just everything has been so normalized over our lifetime that it's hard for people to think of outside the box, like how it can really work. And I think that's the big part of the test as well. I think that's why, like you said, not everyone is going to be like given X amount once the truth is told. Like that's a humanitarian thing. And I think that we all know the other part of Space Force is they know your thoughts. Like that's the stuff that people don't understand. And when they know that you're a good person and you really would rather make people happy and help your community rather than sitting behind a desk all day going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and I think throughout, I know that this has always happened to me is that like people are like, oh, you know, oh, you're just, why are you so happy in the morning or whatever? And it's like, you try to tone yourself down or you try to not be like, you know, like, I don't know, some people just are so serious and at work, but I realized they don't like the light. A lot of times that's what we've been around in corporate America and even
Yeah.
in school and all of that, is that there's no reason to dim your light anymore. And that's what we all should be. And don't apologize for it and keep being that. And that's what's going to lift up everyone to a higher standard, because it should be like that. You know, we shouldn't be beat down because we're happy or trying to make the world a better place. It should be like that. And anybody trying to bring you down because of that should be called out on it, you know, like we should be
And I
standing
love
up
what
for
you
what's
just,
right.
yeah, and I love what you just said, because a lot of the people that still are unawakened, so to speak, like they're going to need that light from people like us. And we're not going to judge them and be like, you know, we know all of us here already know what it feels like to be judged and to be laughed at and ridiculed because of our beliefs and all of our research that we've done. And that's what, you know, and that's why we should be spreading our light, like you said, because it will become contagious. And then the people that are going to find everything out all at once, it's going to be so overwhelming. They're going to want to be around people like that because they don't want to be judged. And I think that they're going to realize how much they've been judging people like us, and it's just going to even out. Does that make sense?
But there's a way to do it, I think, too, because I think about my world in JP Morgan, because a lot of those people run the different divisions, right? So like if you're like that, you're gonna get pushback from managers and people that are trying to get you in line. So there's a way to do it that is the art of war and trying to do it in a sense that is keeping you in the realm that you can make an impact when you're inside those companies, or you're a teacher, or you're, you know, within the school systems, in the banking institutions, in the hospitals, without compromising yourself too. I mean, if they've ever made it, you know, you draw a line and you draw a line, but you know, and not comply to any of those crazy mandates that they had, you know, as far as the vaccinations and all that. No.
And it's called training. It's called training. It's literally in everyone's faces. It's like, you cannot ask questions. They're telling you and training you the way that, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like so many people overcomplicate everything when it's like, no, it's so simple. It's in your face. It's called training, and it's their way or no way. You can't ask questions. And that's how you keep people enslaved and just pay their bills instead of going after what they really would love to do and who they'd like to help and what they'd, you know, that's how you keep people dumbed down. It's that simple.
I think too, like even when I started my own firm, I thought, okay, I can get out of this, you know, but we're still under this hierarchy. It is a pyramid. And so all the custodians are still under it. So it's us creating our own system over here. And, you know, and that's what's happening, like with Space Force, with the military, with us creating these, you know, the new system. I do have my XRP hat here.
I love it.
So,
that looks great on you.
XRP and XLM. I mean, that is really going to change the world. And, you know, and it's going to bridge the gap on the way that we are able to send our payments and have, you know, the distributed ledger technology and do what we need to do and be able to digitize everything. And I think that's where people need to understand how it works, because if you understand how easy it is for us to send payments to one another, or how easy it'll be for countries to settle. And I've heard that they've been sending large amounts, you know, from country to country, and it's settled very quickly. And it's something that, you know, we've never been able to do that fast. And I do believe that they've been laundering the money overnight, you know, and been able to scheme off the top of it. Because if you keep, you know, billions and trillions of dollars for 4 days or 5 days till it settles, how much are you making in that time frame? The interest alone is going to be millions of dollars. So, you know,
that reminds me of that movie, The Office, you know, with the guy with the red stapler. And
Yes.
it's like literally like when you think about when people pull, like it's like your cell phone bill and you're like, what the heck is all these fees and stuff? And can you imagine where they just come up with things? It's like, oh, we got to charge you for that and that. You know, like that whole concept where it was like pennies on
It
the
was a
dollar
penny.
and no one would notice. It's like, that's exactly what they've been doing.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, and see how I reacted. That is how we're programmed to laugh when you're uncomfortable, but it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just.
There was a company I saw the other day and they were charging 43 cents on everything. And they said it was for employee benefits. And so somebody went in and journalists went in and said, you know, to the employees, like, what are your benefits? And they're like, we don't have any benefits. And they're like, well, what's this fee for employee benefits? And they couldn't answer. They were like, you know.
But that's awesome. So someone called them out because they stood up, and that's how we're gonna change things. You got to call them out.
Everybody will stand up. But that's the thing, though, is that it's so short-lived because all of this that's happening right now is a complete sting operation. It's all been traced and tracked. So that's why it is continuing, and that's why it is so painful. But what we have to realize is it's already been done. You know, I mean, everything's completed.
We're watching it all.
We are a part of central casting. We're part of the now.
I had a funny feeling about that.
Yeah. It is painful though when people are struggling and they need help financially and they're still trying to figure all that out. And you've got family members turning on you and all these other things, you know, I mean, it's truly biblical, you know, what's happening because, you know, it's really hard on a lot of people. So that's why if I can help people make money during this time, and, you know,
comfort them that it's going to be safe. And real quick, when you were talking about 9/11 and everything, and I've proven this to people where I don't know if you guys see, you know, a lot of guys walk around with their fire department t-shirts and stuff like that. And a lot of times I've walked right up to them in the last few years and I'm like, oh, were you on the New York firefighter? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, was 9/11 an inside job? And they're like, yep. But it's like they don't say it openly, but they all know. Isn't that, I mean, that should be enough for people to really be like, okay.
I think that people they don't know what to do, you know, and
or
really I mean, General Flynn, I think, said it best when he said, you know, we're digital soldiers and that we have to, you see something, you say something. Oh,
I did.
That was another thing that they've said that if there are still people that you see committing crimes, that, you know, the doctors that are still, prescribing remdesivir and putting people on vents, still pushing the vaccines and all of that, that they should be reported to the Inspector General with Space Force, and they're taking care of it. I mean, because they have people located in every state and every city. So all of that, they have satellites. I mean, they can see in our houses. I
know, it's so creepy when you think about it. Like, it's the whole house life things. Like, I never said that. And they're gonna like get your phone and they'll be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let's rewind that.
I'd be like, I probably did say it.
So listen, I have a question. What about your I know you have an extensive background, you know, with your previous work in the large institutions in the private bank, and many of your clientele are accredited investors and they carry large balances. So like, what is your typical client in
That's a great question, because I coming from, you know, JP Morgan in the private bank, like our minimum was 250,000 and typical clients have a couple million that I've been used to working with. And you know, not everybody has that, but I have, you know, been helping like the people that have the right mindset, that are easy to work with. And I have done, you know, down to 100,000. You know, anything less than that, it's just not going to help them as much, because they would need to build up their assets to be able to have access to the type of investments that I would be investing in. So for me, it'd probably be about 100,000 typically for or more for me to be able to help them the way that I would want to help them. If they have questions though, like I'm happy to answer the questions and help them get started. And however, they're working their way up. But so, and typically what I did was, if somebody has large amounts in their 401k and they can roll over their 401k balance into an IRA, they have other investments outside that they can roll over. There's people that have inherited money that they get large amounts and I can help them with, but typically, my clients at JP Morgan were clients that were retired that had come in and they rolled over large balances from their past employers. And we were able to, help them create a portfolio with, non-qualified and qualified assets. Non-qualified is money you just saved that you invested while you're working. And then there's qualified assets are like 401ks, 403bs, retirement plans with your employer, those types of things, those kind of investments, typically people have larger balances in, and I can help them roll those over into an account that they can invest in all these different types of assets.
Okay. Are you open to taking some questions right now?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to raise their hand with any questions? Who's first? Oh, let's unmute Miss Lex.
Hello. This
Hi.
is like
I'm going to step out for a sec.
ideal.
Hi.
Like been following this for years, so thank you for revealing what I already knew was happening. My question is, if you're in the struggle bus, what should you be doing to start making money?
So, what do you do for a living?
I'm a coach. So I have 13 years of higher academia, and I'm currently working on my PhD in organizational development.
Okay. So, and you don't have a 401k or 403b or anything like that from working, but you're starting to save and all that through your work now?
I actually just got out of a situation that was for Trump. So this is like, okay, everything I just went through, sting operation, okay, I understand. I suffered, but now I need payment for my suffering so that I can keep on doing the work.
Yes. Okay. So I think now, and are you familiar with XRP and XLM or the digital exchanges and that type of thing?
I'm more familiar with cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
But I can learn quickly.
Yes. So do you have an account set up with the cryptos? Like with Coinbase or any of the?
My spouse does. He usually watches all that.
So because this is where, when you're starting, gold and silver, I mean, gold's expensive. Silver, I mean, gold's now $2,500 an ounce. But silver is what, $30? So I would start by stacking silver. Like you can buy that, even SD bullion, S as in Sam, D as in David, bullion, BULLION.com, sdbullion.com. They're a company that has, they seem to have the best pricing and the lowest premium when I've priced it out. And there's different companies, and I'm not promoting one or the other. I don't, it's just that's a good company. I've ordered from them. I've ordered from AppMex, and I've ordered from JM Bullion. They're all different companies that you can order like a silver coin. Start stacking those at home. I mean, that's $30, and at some point, I think they're going to be thousands of dollars per ounce. But right now they're around $30. So if you buy it, there's probably a premium. You maybe pay $32 to $35, depending on where that's at right now. But that's a great way to start investing, because they'll sell you, just one token at a time, one ounce of silver. And that's a great investment. If you think silver should be at least a couple thousand per ounce.
That's crazy when you think about it. That is so can I ask you real quick? And I know you're dealing with Lex. So you feel like, and I've heard this from other people that are on the right side of what's happening. that when the market does crash, that eventually silver will start at almost like $1,100 per ounce. Would you kind of like gauge that like roughly around the same? Because that's huge.
Yeah, I've seen it higher, you know, than the estimates that it'll be, because there's over 3,000 patents coming out that demand silver. And
Ooh.
that's part of, you know, the energy and the medical devices and all of our, you know, you think about our cell phones, our computers, everything needs silver inside of it. And then they've talked about the combustible engines, which I'm not sure what'll happen with all of those with the electric vehicles and everything, but I do believe there's probably going to be, if there's free energy, we probably will have vehicles that we don't need to have fuels and stuff like that, but I'm just not sure how that'll operate, because right now, I mean, if I think about my cell phone, every few years you're like, okay, my cell phone dies every hour or whatever, you know, and then you have to replace the battery and all of that. But you know, so right now
Yeah.
I would never buy an electric vehicle, but
Oh my gosh, they're everywhere, stranded out here.
the Tesla trucks I keep seeing all over the road.
Oh, I know when I first saw them, I'm like, what is that from Mad Max or something?
Yeah.
Like, you know what
But
I
they're
mean?
bulletproof, right?
Oh, are
But
they? Is that what they
yeah,
say?
they're bulletproof, but they're
Why would
just so ugly. But it is like Back to the Future, which there's a lot of correlations between what's going on in Dealey Plaza
Yeah.
and Back to the Future and all that.
Mhm.
But anyway, I would definitely buy silver. I mean, silver is like a no-brainer. On top of that, if you're Lex, you mentioned your spouse has, you know, like a digital currency account, but if I were you, I would set up one and you can link it to your bank account and you can move, you know, as you get paid, you could move $50 in there and buy XLM, because XLM right now is only 10 cents. So, you know, I had bought it even at 25 cents. I've bought it even higher than that throughout the last couple of years. But you know, I wish, you know, I had waited until now, but anything 10 cents or less on XLM, I would be snatching that up like crazy, you know. So I think XLM and then XRP. I mean, XRP is only what, 60 cents or maybe a little bit less than that right now, but that's the other one. I mean, XRP is going to be that that what I understand is XRP is going to be more of like how institutions move their money back and forth, and XLM will be how you and I settle. You know, just like like if we're paying each other like a Venmo, that we settle by sending each other XLM. So yeah, those are
Love
the
it.
three things that I would start with when you're just starting and you're like, God, I just want to get a little bit of extra and like put it away and just pretend like I don't even have it anymore. Silver, XLM, and XRP.
I
By
did the
that.
AG. I did the stock. I did the symbol AGs.
Yeah,
Silver
AG
Majestic.
is cheap. AG is another, you know, it's a mining company. First Majestic Mining.
Yeah. I bought that
And
back when you and Negative were talking. I'm like, yes,
yep.
I'm
And
gonna get
Northern
my
Dynasty Minerals.
rescue animal.
That's only like 35 cents right now too. Northern Dynasty Minerals. So, you know, all those companies, I mean, they own 100% of their Pebble project. They're debt free. They're going to skyrocket as soon as they get through their lawsuits too, because they were held up by the Obama administration with the EPA. So once all that settles, then that'll be something that also skyrockets. But these are some things that we add into the portfolios that those are legacy life changers. You know, when people have you know, a high amount of assets and they put it in, you know, assets like that and securities like that, they'll be able to make a lot of money on those.
Okay. Oh, is
Mhm.
she still there? Is Lex still there? Oh, she disappeared. Oh, there she is.
Yes, thank you so much. And
Yes.
also, can we have a repeat of your contact info? I missed
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yes.
do you want to tell them or do you want me to?
I can tell them.
Yeah.
My email is jill.wood@freewoodwealth.com. And my cell phone is 614-753-6200.
And would you encourage people to just say, hey, I saw you on the Zoom regarding
Yes.
this? So
Yeah.
you don't know, like I get all these spammy things. I'm like, delete report, delete
Yes.
report. Okay.
Yes. And I am quick on text. Like I see that I've gotten emails before and I think it's spam or whatever, you know, text and a lot of times calls, if I don't recognize the call, it'll go to my voicemail. But if somebody texts, I get it and I see, it, you know, it's just easier for me. I don't know if you're like that, but it's easier when I get a text, I can, you know, respond quicker.
Okay. Now, does anyone else have questions? I want to make sure that Casey, Derek, you know you want to ask something.
Yeah.
I do. I put on a hat because I felt left out.
Oh, I
I love it.
God is
What's
good.
it say?
It says God is
Aw,
good.
I love it. Sure
the-
thing. And you're
Um,
color coordinated. I love
Yes,
it.
always.
love it. Must be color coordinated. Yeah.
You have to. I just have a question. So we're not good money people. We just don't know. We don't even know who to go to do any of these. She said the state. Wait, what is this?
Stbullion.com.
Bullion.com. So we would
stbullion.com.
stbullion.com.
SD. S is in Sam, D is in David.
Okay, so we would go to that, and then that's how we would buy silver and
Well,
stuff.
yes, you can order it there. And then
Okay.
you can look through the coins. And I just say buy whatever is going to be the least expensive one. Like if it's the American Eagle or what have you, you'll see it looks just like a silver coin. And I buy the rounds and I would just start ordering some of those. They're probably around $30 to $35 with the premium.
Oh, so you're talking like real, like tangible
physical
coins, not just like stock and stuff.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you could set up an E-Trade account also online. And E-Trade, you're able to go on there and buy the like the silver and the gold that is through Sprout Asset Management, and I can help you with that. Like if you call me or send me a message, I can kind of walk you through that.
Because we have no idea.
Yeah. So yeah, and you just the thing about it is like you'll hook it up to your checking account so you can pull money in. And then let's say you want to take $200 and you want to buy that amount in silver. It's real easy to do that on so through E-Trade, for example, you can connect it to your bank account, it'll pull it in, and then you can place your trades on there. It's not as hard as a lot of times people think it is to do something like that. It is like liquid. So let's say it grows to $300 and you're like, oh, I need to take out $100, you know, because of whatever. It's very easy to take that, you know, out of that and sell off a couple shares and then move that back over into your checking account. So it usually takes about 3 days for it to settle back over.
Okay. And now Derek has a 401k through his work. And I know people were saying everything's going to crash and you should pull it out and all of this stuff. What do you think we should do with that? Like he says he doesn't want to take it out because then you get penalized. And so his company matches him right now. But
yes.
If everything crashes, it's going to be nothing anyway. So I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that.
And you currently still work there, right, Derek?
Yeah.
So, and you're adding, so it's free money when you're adding to it. It depends probably on what you're invested in. And I'm sure you don't have the gold or silver option in there because they just
It's all your basic stuff that you already discussed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They do have a cash option though. Like you could put it in a stable fund. So like you could put it in something that is more invested in just cash. And so that way you're not in the market necessarily. If you think we're at that point, which we will be at some point, right now it's been going up. So you benefited by just being invested in large cap, mid cap, small cap stocks. You know, I mean, that's what's been going up. I just see it. We're at a bubble. I don't, but it could continue. I don't know what the plan is. It might continue where that's going to go up for a while. We're just at the point though, where it makes zero sense. It makes no sense how things have gone straight up and we have so much debt out there. We've got
The world's
so many
falling apart.
that it doesn't make sense why the market's so high. It's got to crash. It doesn't make any sense. Robert Kiyosaki said we're going to have the worst recession. I mean, worse than the Great Depression. And, you know, I mean, he knows. I mean, it's because of the amount of debt that we've accumulated in the United States. Our federal deficit is crazy, but what the confusing part is that we know, if you've been following, is that Trump already paid all that off. I just don't know how that's going to look perception wise in the stock market, but from my understanding is that at some point everything's going to crash. So what we've been told, and by people that I respect, is that cash is king. So it's better to like take off your winnings right now, put everything you have over into that stable fund, into cash or money markets, and then wait until that, you know, resets, and then you could reinvest it. If you ever left your company, you could roll it out into an IRA, and then you could put it, unless they have an in-service rollover. That's one question you could ask your HR department is, am I allowed to do an in-service rollover, which means I still work, I'm in service, I didn't, you know, leave the company, but you could take out the amount you've accumulated in there and roll that out into an IRA, and you can still contribute. So still contribute because they will match it. So that's just free money. It's silly not to contribute to a 401k. You're getting free money. So while you're working, you'll want to contribute to it and take the free money, but you just want to make sure that you're investing the right way and don't lose what you're putting in there. You don't want to lose it, obviously. So we're at that point where you could lose it because of the way that the market's going right now.
Right.
Can I ask you one quick question when you said you could open an E-Trade account? Because I have a few of my friends that would love to do that. Is there a specific type of account that they should set it up under? Like, I know they have all these different tiers and things like that. So would you be able to
if you're just
explain
doing it like, and you're going to move money like a couple $100 from your checking account, then you set up a brokerage. It's just called an individual brokerage account. You can set up joint or, you know, individual, depending if you're, you know, you want somebody else on the account or not. But an individual brokerage account is what you set up for money that you've saved outside of an IRA or retirement account. If it's an IRA, or say if it's a 401k and somebody has like $2,000 from an old company, then you could roll those funds over into an IRA from your 401k.
Good questions. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question. I'm Joni.
Hi, Joni.
Hi, Jill. I downloaded Lobster, and I have to be honest with you, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. I'm really a beginner at this, at investing. I mean, I do have an account at Fidelity, and I just had an annuity that I turned into cash and put it in like a savings in Fidelity. Now, how safe is that? Like, should I just leave? You know, I don't know what to do with it at the moment.
So I've rolled over a lot of accounts from Fidelity, and a lot of the employers have their 401k plans and their IRA or their those types of retirement plans at Fidelity. And those types of accounts, it just depends on what you have in there. But I could, if you want to, call me tomorrow and I can help you with that. We could talk more about it, because that way it's more private.
Okay, fantastic.
And, what you have and how it's invested and stuff. And then if I can help you with that, I will be more than happy to help you, because that sounds, usually those types of accounts, you just want to make sure that you have access to the right types of investments in there. And a lot of times people have larger amounts and stuff in those. So yeah, we can talk about that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and the Lobster account though, did you get through all the certification and like hook up your checking account to it? And are you able to?
I didn't get up to that part yet. I didn't get, it's down on my phone, and I started looking through it, and I was looking at these ledgers, and I was like, and I was totally confused, and I said, I need help.
Yes.
So I've been wanting to
on
get in contact with you.
lobster, that's what we used a lot in Dallas. And when we talked about being able to help others and all of that, that was one thing. There was probably 100 of us that were sharing digital currencies back and forth. We learned how to do limit orders and all of that. So it is kind of confusing to learn at first. Only I found money moving in and out of there was harder to do than I thought. And I think it's because the banks made it hard. Like Chase, I'm like, they would stop it. I'm like, why are you stopping that? And they're like, well, you got to be careful about investing in, digital currencies and cryptocurrencies. And I'm like, that's none of your business. Like, I'm hooked up my checking account, stop blocking it, and let me do my transactions. They don't want to see the money moving out of the banks. So some people had to use MoneyGram to put money onto their lobster account. The way around that I saw that was easiest for me was that I had a Coinbase account, which was very easy to move money in and out of off my checking account. And I bought XLM and I would move that over into my lobster wallet. So it is a new, I guess, thing for people to learn and to kind of know about, but it's going to be life-changing if you could learn how to get that set up. So you'll just want to go onto I think on your desktop is easier than using your cell phone on getting like a lobster wallet set up initially.
I really needed it.
Yeah. You can, once you get that established and you've got XLM in there, then you can start swapping it out for XRP and the digital currencies that are recommended through Whiplash 347, which is tied to the Kennedys. So they're giving us a lot of the information on what to invest in and how to invest. And,
What was that? What was
So
that you
those are
said?
definitely legit, right?
Well,
Whiplash, the 347, that's definitely legit. And I could just, because
Whiplash
I'm
347, you got to make sure it's the right one. But on Telegram, he's always dropping which investments to invest in on Telegram.
Okay.
And it's all about, it goes deep. All right. So the executive orders 13818 and 13848 are all about the seizing of assets for, crimes against humanity, child trafficking. It's also about the election fraud. They're seizing all the assets from these criminals. As they're seizing the assets, it's going into our new system. So this new system that we have, it's going to have, all the assets are there. We eventually will obviously have access to it. But right now, if you're following Whiplash 347, they're telling you the different investments that you can go in and basically buy an IPO, which is like the initial public offering, but they call it, I forget it. It's always the initial offering that you can invest in these companies. So one was about the sovereign gold bonds, and they've even had the different, one was like mutual funds, and it was like iShares. And I'm like, this was kind of like, it was a conglomerate, which is a way that you can invest in a basket of investments and be diversified in your investment portfolio. So it was a way to purchase those. And then they're going to be paying dividends on top of that. So that's something that is another realm. But the initial thing is if people could set up their lobster wallet, and it's LOBSTR, no E in lobster. Lobster, I believe, is going to be the wallet that people use. But I could be wrong on that, but that's what we used in Dallas, and we were sharing things back and forth. And as you're sharing with other people, now what they're doing is airdropping digital currencies into my wallet. That I think that's what we're going to be doing. If we're helping with humanity, and then I'm helping you get set up with a wallet, and then I'm like, hey, did you buy these currencies? And then I share, 10,000 of my whatever currencies I own, and I give it to you. You're going to have a lot in your wallet, and then you're going to help others be able to set up the currencies in theirs. And we're all going to be able to help one another. And at some point, 10,000 worth of XRP is going to be an astronomical amount of money, you know, but right now it's not, but it does have value. XLM and XRP have value, but you know, it's right now if people are learning it and able to take, you know, advantage of that, those are going to be the things that are absolutely life-changing. I mean, if Bitcoin right now is worth what, $60,000 to $70,000 per crypto token, and in 2020 it was down to 3,000, you know, and before that I know it was like a couple cents people were buying Bitcoin for, when people were like, what is it, like I don't trust that, like what the heck, you know, and we didn't know what it was. But now understanding how we can digitize every asset out there, big or small, and it's got value, but you can invest in it. You can invest in real estate, you can invest in gold, you can invest in silver, all of these things that are going to have an astronomical amount of value, but we can do it in small amounts, and then we can easily transact and send money back and forth. It's money's not going to be an object at some point. We're all going to be wealthy, but we're going to have to do what's right and help humanity. So,
But Jill, one more question. Can I just start off, like, it's safe to put it on your checking account, or will they take a credit card? I'm not sure on how to actually start it. You know,
well,
what first?
So they have MoonPay attached to that, which is like Apple Pay. And some people have been able to use their credit cards. I also have Uphold, and for a long time I could use my credit card, and it would only go up to $500 though. But I was able to buy XRP, but now I can't anymore. So I think, and from my experience here lately, is that it all had to be in cash coming from my bank account, which I do have my bank account attached. I can send funds and buy XLM, but I'm doing it through Coinbase. You are able to do it direct also on Lobster. I just haven't done it that way. But people, I think the ones who I've seen have the most success with their bank account attached to Lobster is if they did it on their desktop, not their cell phone. So that way you get it set up properly in the beginning, and then you can use your cell phone all the time. You can move money back and forth. But initially, when you set it up, you're also going to want to write down all your codes, and you're going to want to keep them in several places and never ever lose it because you want to be able to get back into it. You know, and there's like 12 words you got to save, and you got to be able to save, you know, a lot of information that you get when you're initially setting up your wallet. So you want to be in a quiet place, and you want to take your time. You want to write it down. You want to probably have a safe where you keep, you know, the information that, you know, once you set up your wallet, because it's going to give you codes. Only you're the only one who's ever going to know them. That's why no tax accountant, no IRS, nothing. They're never going to know about any of it. And your name's not on there. You're, you know, like you are truly like on Telegram. Like if we go on there as Johnny Walker, nobody knows who we are. You make up a name, and that's what your little, you know, avatar or whatever you want to call it is. And it's very private. So you just want to make sure that if you share it with someone, that you're somebody that you trust, and, you know, and that it's somebody that can get in there if anything ever happened to you too, because you want to be able to make sure it's set up to where you set up your heirs and you set up all the things to keep it safe, that if anything happened to you, that, you know, your kids and your family, or, you know, whoever is inheriting your money would have access to it as well. So, but it in the beginning, if you set it up on your desktop and connect it to your bank account and move funds in from your bank account. And like I said, the only exchange that I've been able to use my credit card on is Uphold. I don't even think Coinbase will let you do it. Chase won't let you do it. If you have a different type of credit card, maybe it will.
Yeah, because they don't want you in it. That's why.
No, because it's directly taking out their business. I mean,
know, that's what I mean.
it's so catch-22, but that's why like a lot of people took their funds and put it on MoneyGram and then sent it from MoneyGram onto Lobster, which is truly that nobody could trace it then either. Because you also don't want that transaction if you want to hide it from, the banks or whatever. But
I love that though. I mean, they have nothing. They can't do or say anything. They can't be like, you owe us 25% of what's in that account, or,
No.
for your taxes. All that
Yeah.
crap. Can
Yeah.
I ask you a quick question on
Mhm.
on setting up the lobster? Can you actually end up like, is there a way that you can actually dump your physical silver into it? Would you have to go to a fine? So it's only connected to the checking, is what you're
Yes.
saying. Okay.
Yes. Now, I mean, the silver companies, if you have a lot of silver, they will lend you money against it. Like if let's say you hold what, 20 grand or, and you need money, you can borrow against your silver, within those companies. You're able to do something like that. I mean, the thing too, even with brokerage accounts, if you have, it's high amounts though. I mean, I think like to
Okay.
have a loan against your brokerage account, you would need to have at least 500,000 in your brokerage account, and they'll lend up to 250 out of it. So like it's large money that on the brokerage side when they start lending out money, and it's not on a retirement account either. It's on cash, somebody's got that they've saved and they have investments. So a lot of people who own businesses, let's say they've got a lot of cash, but they're a lot of times they're leveraged, and they don't have tons of cash that's really liquid. They need to use it, and they might buy more businesses or do other things. A lot of my clients that own businesses use those securities-based lines of credit to be able to borrow against their investments. So, but that's something else. But yeah, but silver, if you own like the physical silver, you either have to send it back in and get the cash for it, or you can't borrow against one coin, but it'd be large sums.
Yeah.
And if
Plus,
you're going to invest, it's just on cash. I think that you'd probably just have to start saving, like $50 out of your paycheck and just start putting money over into a brokerage account and buy more shares. Silver, I think it's like $7 and something per share. So it's minimal, I mean, the investments are smaller. So there is a way to invest in silver that's going to be fractional.
isn't that crazy though, to think that how much you can buy it for right now and what it's going to be as soon as everything, it's like over $1,000. It's like, oh my goodness gracious. That's just, I can't wait.
I mean, people have been like, they've made a ton of money on Google and Amazon and all these companies that you're like, oh, I wish I would have known back then. But that's a fraction of what it will truly be with silver and gold, and truly a tangible asset that has value. That has,
Yeah.
and it also is a great conductor of energy. It's a resource that we all need. It's why they've tried to be like, it's a fool's relic, and why do you want to invest in that? And and it's
Yeah.
no, and then they give us the paper certificates for the
Yep.
real stuff back in the day, and you didn't have a choice. But
Yeah.
now it's like, no more fooling everyone. People
Yeah.
want physical, tangible assets.
Silver Kings out here. You've been out
Mhm.
here, all those. It's so funny. I see the signs and symbolism everywhere. I'm like, oh, oh, oh,
Oh
oh,
yeah, in
oh.
Utah for sure. They probably have
Oh,
some in the ground out there.
I should get my metal detector.
Yeah, get the little beep, beep,
You
beep.
never know. Oh my gosh, I could like run into a treasure chest. I'll be like,
Yes,
woo.
right.
Oh my gosh.
Why not
But
us?
I know, right? I could do a lot with that, God.
Yes. Well, it's coming back.
Oh, that's awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions that they can think of right now? Anyone? Just unmute yourself. Tanya, anyone? Okay. So here's a question, Jill. What if someone is still in that I'm in panic mode and I really just don't know what to do. Do you have any assurance to people, like when the market does crash and they didn't do it? Is there any words of advice that you could give to them to?
Well, this is the thing, is that right now I'm seeing silver go up and it'll go down and go up and go down. And
I've
it's
been
going to be
seeing that too.
Yeah. It's not, there's going to be opportunity after this. Nobody needs to be scared. I mean, that's what we learn all the time. It's no fear. It says no fear in the Bible 365 times. Do not be afraid. There's no reason to be afraid. What we needed to be afraid of was the world that we were in. The world we're going into is there's going to be so much money coming back and so much opportunity that that's going to be the least of our worries. And, you know, right now, if people, I do see a lot of people have fear and they keep bringing it back over and back up, you know, again. And the one thing that I know from the people who, from the very top that know what's going on, they've all said not to be afraid. The money is going to transition. It's going to be a smooth transition. There's none of this like get your money on the banks and you know, no. They have taken a snapshot of everybody's assets. They know what you have. It's not nobody's going to lose everything. Now, with that being said, I've heard there's going to be a scare event. And what that means to everyone, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna, I can't see it happening all in the same day. I think there might be, like we've heard scare events in different countries right now. And like, oh, they couldn't get to their bank and they couldn't withdraw money that day and whatever. And I've heard that even here, you know, in the United States, is that one day they went to their bank and they couldn't get any of the funds out. And I was in Chase the other day and there was a guy he was just cashing his paycheck. I don't know how big it was, but she's like, next time you have a check this big, you're going to have to call us in advance to order the assets and to have the money, you know, at the bank. So there, and I've also heard that there's old money recirculating, which means that, I don't know, it sounds like the banks are getting old dollars. I mean, you know, the old school 20s and all of that, you know, like yeah.
I have a question. No, but I have a question. It just reminded me. So should people be saving their change? Because I would think that's worth way more. Like, you know, when they dump it into the penny dispenser thing, should people start?
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean,
is it really worth like silver wise and copper? I don't know.
I mean, I
that
think
is a good question.
Our money's not, it's all gonna, I've seen where we're gonna have rainbow currency. I mean, maybe if you want to keep it for and something that you want to keep as a keepsake, you know, and I do think that this is another thing that people need to keep about 3 months worth of assets at home to cover bills and at least have a couple weeks worth of cash, you know, that you have at home and, you know, hidden away in a safe or wherever you can hide it and keep it safe. But it's good to have some cash because there will be a time that it's going to transition over. And I don't, from
you won't
my
have
understanding
access.
and from what I've heard is that it might only be a couple days, but it's probably going to be a scary couple days if you can't get access to any of your cash, you know, and but when it's scary is celebrate. When Trump got shot, like, I mean, we knew it was planned. It's all in the Q drops.
Central casting. I got that video.
It's all done.
It says it like gazillion times.
Like, I'm not, like, there's no fear. Like, I'm excited about where everything's going.
Me too.
But there's no answers as well. So, like, there's no, oh, this is exactly what you need to do and all that. It's a little bit of everything. And if people have the assets to do it, I would do, you know, keep some cash at home, buy some silver and some gold if you can. And then also in a brokerage account, if you've got assets outside in an IRA, 401k, all that, roll it into the IRA and buy your silver and gold and mining and all that stuff in there. Because that's, like we said, over 3,000 patents are going to demand silver. Silver is going to skyrocket. And then these mining companies are going to go up, I mean, thousands of %. because they're going to have to mine it. It's,
I'm like
you
in the
know,
hub. I did some
silver is
decodes
what,
on that. I'll have to share with you.
well, at some point, we're not even going to be able to obtain silver. We won't, because there's not enough. There's the supply and demand, and there's not a big supply of silver. So but the word in that industry, in the bullion industry, is unobtainium, and silver will become unobtainium. We won't be able to get it.
Wow.
And
And that's
those of
why
us who
people
have
should
it,
be getting it.
yes.
Cool. I heard in that one of those, and I know Lex has a question after, if I could say this real quick, but when I listen between the lines, you know, those sea-bearing gold shows that they're you know, they're looking for gold and all that. But I heard one guy, he said that silver is going to end up outbeating gold because it has more uses and it'll be worth over $10,000 an ounce in due time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yes.
excited about that. So I'm going to just tally up. They can
Yeah.
see what I'm tallying.
It's like silver has been, I mean, it's like kept so low when it should be more than gold, or at least the same price as gold. And, you know,
Yeah, it makes sense to
so if
me.
you just look at, you know, the price of silver being close to $30 an ounce, and then gold right now being $2,500 an ounce, the spread for what you can
That is
make
a lot.
on an
Yeah.
ounce of silver, and it's so affordable. I mean, we buy pizza for
It
30
won't be
bucks,
in due
you know?
time though. That's the thing. Like people have to realize that if you really get all this, now's the time to do it, because once it goes up, it's like your missed opportunity. It's like all those stocks that you were told to invest in. You're like, darn it. And you know,
Yeah.
like Bitcoin, you know, well, we know it's a
Yeah.
Ponzi scheme,
I
but
know
you know
it's
what I'm
hard though when
saying.
everybody's struggling right now too. A lot of people are
Yeah,
struggling. You
that is
know,
a
it's
good point.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, do I eat or do I buy an ounce of silver? You know, I mean, you've got to take
Yeah.
care of yourself and your family,
Yeah.
and trust that everything will work out on God's timing, because
Yeah.
any of us are people that have been able to invest the right way, and there'll be opportunity. There's going to be things that we invest in that are going to be opportunities for people that you know, want to do the right things. And those are ideal people that you want to help, them build a business. You want to give them opportunities. They're hard workers, and they've been enslaved by a system that has not treated them well.
And people have
you know,
so much
that's
potential too. You know, you think of
yeah.
all the potential that every single person has, and they literally have just only been able to do the basics because it's how you have to pay your bills. And it breaks my
Yeah.
heart that there's so much talent and so much passion. And, you know, so many people have amazing hobbies that they could turn into a career right away. I mean, but Lex,
It'll be so rewarding when we can all help with
yeah.
that, like, and watch somebody flourish and shine and build a huge business that is changing the world. And you know, we're all helping each other that way. I mean, it's going to create the innovations that are going to happen. It's going to be amazing, because I'll tell you, when people have had good ideas and they took it to Wall Street and it went public, these hedge funds stole it. They steal their idea, they drive them out of business, and then they take it over. And then they change it into toxic chemicals or whatever. If it's something that would have benefited you, you know, I mean, they change it. They don't want that to succeed. So like there was a control over everything that now will change.
Whoa, is that's so funny you say this, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way. So when I say this, but there was a trade show I used to go to for my business, my own invention and everything. It was the National Hardware Show, and that was the biggest one that everyone all over the world, I mean, it was housewares, hardware, lawn, garden, everything. And the joke was, because unfortunately that's what happens, there was a new product section, and that's the first place everyone would go to because everyone wanted to know what the latest and greatest was. But it was also a place that they had a nickname, they called it Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen's gonna knock you off. I mean, it's no different. You know, people in China, they'll come and take the ideas and they tweak it one little bit and they're like, okay.
And then you realize how tied in that was globally and who they're connected to. You don't.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But that's all changed. It has.
I'm so
I
excited.
believe that they've taken out the top realms. From my understanding, is that the top 5% were gone a couple of years ago of all these corrupt organizations, and then they trickled down in there, and they've been taken out these other, corrupt people. But you can see, like, you could go into, let's say, a school board, or you could go into a firm, and you can see who would sell themselves out, who's going to continue down that path. They're going to be taken out. Like, they're all now taken over by the white hats. So
I love it. I'm so grateful.
That's why it's still painful, but they still got to catch people. So, but I think it's at the lower levels now.
Yeah, I agree. I feel it. I think a lot of people, I mean, not to say that there's nothing to still, you know what I mean, but Lex, did you have a question?
You guys have been answering it the whole time. This is what I'm saying, is that I am at that level at the top, but what I want to do is take from the bottom and teach, but I want to be paid to teach, because I've been teaching my whole life. My obsession is altruism. Like, and I know what to do. I know how to speak. I have that multiplicity, but what I haven't figured out until this past month, hallelujah, is how to titrate it for people who don't understand what's happening. So how do I do that? I don't know. So listening to you guys, that is what I'm creating, and I'm calling them purple zones, because there's blue zones where people will have longevity, and there's red zones where people are in trouble. And what I do is I have that grayscale, like, let's be on that line together. And that's why I've shortened my name. My full name is not what I represented myself as tonight, because when people say Lex, it's like, let's come together. And I literally changed my name to fit the zone so that I can relate to you, because I am interested in you, and I'm trying my best to not be interesting, because when I become interesting, it's all about me. But when I'm interested in you, you teach me everything I need to know so I could turn around and dumb it down and keep it KISS, right? Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Because I was confused more than half the time Jill was talking. But do you know who I know? I know my spouse, and I can ask him questions endlessly. And Jill was willing to give her phone number. And guess what he can do? He can talk the talk with her. Even though we are on the struggle bus, he could be like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what to do. And he'll do it in 5 minutes, what would take me 3 weeks to do.
Yeah.
So
I got you, girl. I love how you just explained that. Like, we all have our thing, you know, and that's how we're all going to learn from each other. It's going to be awesome, instead of like what we're told to do all the time.
Exactly.
Right? I would love, we got to connect offline.
And I think too, what made, like, if anybody found certain things confusing over time, this is the start of it. And, you know, and learning as we move along, and as you start to invest, or, you know, buy a little bit of silver, buy some XRP and some XLM, and set up your lobster account, you'll learn quickly, and you'll start to see how everything works and ties in together. So hopefully it doesn't stay confusing, and that's just the part of it. Is you're gonna look back on this and be like, I don't know why I thought that was hard. That's gonna be simple, and you'll be teaching other people how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, well, this was so great. Thank you so much, Jill, for taking the time. I mean, I'm just so thankful that we met, and all of us are all connected, because we know deep down inside that we get the big picture, and we've all been there for each other, and it's been hard. It's been hard for all of us. And I'm just so thankful. And yeah, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I will download this, and I'll send you a copy as well, Jill, and I will post it in the community thinking tank. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Hey, Sharon, could I add one thing?
Yeah, who's talking?
Hi,
Oh, hi.
this is Diane Anderson. Hi, Jill.
Hi.
This is Diane. How are you?
Hi.
It's good to hear you talking and sharing your information. Hey,
yes, I miss you.
Add was to the Joni, who was the one setting up the lobster. When we set up our lobster when we were in Dallas, we could not do it through our bank or our credit card. And we couldn't do it through the Moon, whatever it was. So we ended up going to a coin flip machine, and you
Oh,
just take cash and you load the cash in. And you can load
oh,
anywhere from $1 to $999 without having to give any ID. If you go over $999, then they make you put in your driver's license and that type of information. Basically, the government to track you.
what was the machine, the coin, what are they called?
Coin flip
Coin-
machines. And they're normally, and if you go to coinflip.org, I think it is, they'll show you where they are, and they've got them pretty much in every state. They're not in every city, but they're in, like Dallas has several. Back home where we live, we had one 30 miles from our home. So you actually just take your cash and you have your phone and your Lobster QR code, and it steps you through the process, and you actually buy the XLM. It loads it into your wallet, and then you can transfer it to XRP or to any of the other ones you want to transfer it into. But the one thing is normally just kind of a heads up, because when we first started going to them, we thought they were always kind of in little shady kind of stores, like in a smoke shop or in kind of a liquor store or kind of rundown gas station. But they are legit. And we did get it all loaded in. And one time we had problems. We contacted them. They were amazing in helping us get it switched over. So that's another good way to do it if you can't get your cards or bank to cooperate.
That's it. Yep.
Thanks
And you
for
know what's
sharing
funny is
that.
that those places, why they're like that, it's those areas are targeted. You know, it's like when you see where those machines are located and like the MoneyGrams and all of that, and you know, this one is like where they're in areas, they put abortion clinics on every corner.
Right.
And they put, you know, those places that you can cash checks and all that kind of stuff. It's so crazy how they've kept us
Pawn shops and all the seedy stuff, the black market
deterrence for you to kind of keep you away from those areas. But we were successful with that. And
That's awesome.
and then we've transferred money too, just like Jill was saying, from QR code to QR code. You know, we could transfer XLM or whatever to somebody else easily. And it's an amazing tool to get set up, very inexpensive. And it's definitely worth helping other people get established and to share the wealth. That's
definitely. I mean, didn't we really learned a ton in Dallas about lobster, and like we were able to find out. I mean, that's going to be life changing for all of us, because if you can set up lobster and then buy the XLM and then swap it out for the other currencies, and then, you know, all that's listed. I mean, we can help you on the currencies that you need to buy, but you can buy them on limit orders, and you can end up with millions in your tokens. And then when those actually gain utility, it's going to be life changing, because there's not very many people that know how to do that.
No. And
we got to find someone to do it and do a Zoom on that.
That would be nice to show graphics on it and how to do it step by step, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And once you go through it, it's really not hard, but it is just because we're not used to reading and going through those processes. They've kind of dumbed us down in that process. Anyways, that's what we felt. And it was so new. But once we got into it, and of course, people down in Dallas helped us through the process. And it's really about partnering with other people to help you get through the process. Once they helped us, then, you know, became old hat. But it's definitely something we would encourage people to get into. It's cheap and will benefit you in the long run.
Thank you very much.
Jill?
Did you say that was coin flip, FLIP?
Yes, I put it in the comments.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yep. Bill has a question.
Go for it, Bill. Oh.
From Walmart.com. And I just looked and they're still there.
What was that, Bill?
Our daughter, we have a daughter that has been buying silver online through Walmart.com. So the white hats have it planted there. And it's you know, it's worked easy for her, you know, within 3 days, it's on her doorstep. or in her mailbox, and it's done good. Then another question for you, I guess, is that I always thought, being a smaller investor, that using the lobster and XRP, the other investments that were in there, you mentioned SGB, that is probably the greatest way to leverage a small amount of money. If you have X number of dollars to invest, are you better off using crypto investments or go buy silver? Which is going to pay out quicker or better?
Well, I mean, we don't know for sure yet which one's going to go up the most, but obviously XLM is only 10 cents. XRP is only 60 cents. So that's a minimal investment. Also, if you have a couple $100 and you can buy XLM, then you can start swapping it out, and then we can show how to do limit orders. I think that that's going to be worth a lot more, because silver, as much as it's going to go up, it's still $30 an ounce. And if you bought, a couple $100 worth of silver, and let's do 300, $300, then you bought 10 ounces of silver. So if that goes to $1,000, it's $10,000 versus XLM. I think I could see XLM at $1,000. So if you buy it for 10 cents, you're, light years ahead of where you were. So I think the digital currencies are life-changing, because we see how people have become Bitcoin multimillionaires, and if they bought, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and XDC, and all these tokens that you were able to buy, years ago, people have really made an astronomical amount of money and wealth. But that's why it's all going to switch over. It's almost like the opportunity there is there again with XLM and XRP and XDC, and the dollars. It was the USRC, and it's all the currencies. It's all the rainbow currency, so we can buy those now too, the rainbow currency on there. So that's, I think, a huge opportunity. So I would say, if it were me, I would say 100% opening up your digital wallet is going to be a way to earn money faster. Silver could go up, though. Before any of the digital currency, it just depends. There's no answer on that.
And ideally, it'd be best to do both.
Run, I think XLM and XRP are going to be worth way more. And then the silver and the gold are backing, the monetary system.
Well, and one thing, Jill, I think we learned too about that silver was that we were told that it was going to soar, and then a lot of people will cash out, but then there's going to be a second soaring. So for you to really not to be cashing out all your silver when you think it soars, because it's still going to be valuable down the road, and there will be another time where it's going to soar more, be worth even more. And I think it was kind of to that $10,000 that Sharon was referencing. It's going to be going up higher.
Yes. Yep.
Higher than 10,000?
Well,
No,
Michael even talked about that. He said you'll see silver will skyrocket up, and then you'll want to sell it off, and then you're going to want to reinvest again. And, that's the way the market works. It's like you see it. It was the whole part where it has the cup, and you see it go down and then start to go back up again, and then it forms like a handle, and then it goes up, and then it starts to drop back down again. So, I don't know if the market's going to run the same way that it always has been before, but that was kind of like the typical thing. It made like a range and a cup and a handle, and then it would go back up again. So
interesting.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for being here, and with Miss Jill, and oh my gosh, you're just easing a lot of people's minds right now, because it's coming.
Yep.
But it'll be worth it.
It will.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate everybody coming on here tonight. And you know,
Yeah.
it's been a weird ride for sure.
I
And
bet.
you know,
Yeah.
I think we're all learning from each other, and that's it. It's when we're gathered, then we can help others. So
Yeah.
if people have questions, please reach out to me, and I'll help you as much as I can with what to do and how to get started. And you know, and that's it. I think it's just us as God's people coming together and being able to unite. And you know, that's what we're seeing now on both sides, is that it's about coming together and helping each other.
It's like that song. Ooh, Godsmack has a new good version of Come Together. I like it. It's a good one. You should all listen to it.
Oh,
Like from the Beatles and Aerosmith and all that. It's a good version.
yeah.
When I get jogging or running again, I'm going to listen to it. Well,
Maybe we
thank
need
you,
to have a
everyone.
reunion.
I
Yeah.
know. Well, we had our own reunion this past winter. That was so nice that you came out with little Joel.
Yes.
What's fun.
Yes. We went
Thank
skiing.
you. You are so cute when you're going down the mountain in your tube and you're like, "Ah," I'm like, how did you do it? I would be like, and my camera would be
I had to
falling
capture it.
everywhere.
I knew that would probably be the only time we're ever like wanting to go on a spring break in the snow.